Hey everyone, this is Professor Wooten. As we are getting into graduation season, I thought it might be a good time to talk about what advice you can give your kids as they head off to college. As a 20-year professor of English at colleges in Indiana and Colorado, and also as a three-time college student, I can give your kids some pretty decent advice. The first thing is parking always sucks. Like always sucks. So if you have a 9 a.m. class, don't get there at 8:45 and think you're going to get to class on time. It's not going to happen. Okay. Particularly if you're on a commuter campus. So make sure that for the first few days, you get to campus at least an hour early. Scout out all the different parking lots, find out which ones are more empty than others at that time of day, and figure out where the best place for you to park might be. Sometimes it's easier to park further away from your building and walk than it is to try to find a space close to the building. So always keep those kind of things in mind, because when you're going to school for the first time, you're excited and you're anxious and you're wondering what it's all going to be like, and so it doesn't occur to you, I might need to think about parking. Uh, you do need to think about parking. Also, before the first day, get all your books. Okay. Now, some professors do have a bad habit of not letting the bookstore know what books they need for their course. So if you haven't been able to find it in the bookstore, find out what books you need, I would contact the professor. Ask them, what books do I need? And then you can always get them through Amazon, Chegg, or other kinds of websites that have college textbooks. Also, check the bulletin boards around campus because kids sell their textbooks. So you might be able to get a really, really good price on your books. There are also places like Half Price Books that do take in academic textbooks, so you might want to check there. And always make sure that you have everything ready to go on day one. Okay. Because your teachers may very well give you a reading assignment that you have done before the first class. Since we are now using learning management systems like Blackboard and D2L and Brightspace, Canvas, Moodle, all of those, it's not unusual for a professor to post an announcement of pre-reading, meaning you got to have it read before day one because they're going to give a lecture that day. And you do need to be prepared. So that's another reason you need to make sure you have your books on time. Okay. Now, generally speaking, if a professor wants to discuss something day one and wants you to do some pre-reading, they'll have the books in the bookstore available for you. So you don't really need to worry about that. Always make sure you have proper tools when you get into the classroom. Have some paper, pens, pencils, a stapler. Make sure you have a thumb drive. Okay. You want to make sure that you're saving everything. Okay. Have folders for each class so that you can keep your papers organized. Even though we're doing a lot of schooling on the internet right now, there are old school professors like me who still give a lot of handouts, who do exercises in class. And so you're going to need some place to keep those because you don't want to throw anything away. Professors are notorious for creating final exams or midterms based entirely on what they have done in the classroom. So you need to save that stuff, especially quizzes and tests. Take notes during lectures. Don't just take pictures of what the professor writes on the board with your cell phone. Okay, that's not going to help you. You need to actually physically write down the notes. If your note taking skills aren't the best, just relax and know that they do get better over time. So all you have to do is start taking notes and practicing, and it'll get better. And I also recommend that you get together with someone from your class and compare notes because people write down different things. They consider different things important. So when you're sharing your notes, you have an ability to really get a big picture of what the professor talked about. So it's a really, really useful way to make sure that you've got everything covered in your notes. In fact, I would even go a step further and say, start a study group. where everybody shares everything, 3 or 4 people. And it's not only useful for sharing notes, it's useful for asking each other questions. Say one of you doesn't understand an assignment, but 2 of you really get it. Maybe you can help explain it in a way that that student can understand rather than the way that the professor explained it. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's not unusual for professors to have a communication style that doesn't reach everyone. Okay, we know that. And I certainly encourage my students get with other students, talk to other professors in the department if you need to. I have no problem sending my students to professors I know who have a communication style that works for that student. So make sure you try that out as well. Eating on campus. It's expensive. Even vending machines are expensive. Okay. So you really do need to carry your own snacks, carry some bottles of water, make sure that you have a little bit of cash on you in case a class goes long or you can't get home or you can't get back to your dorm room. Just so that you have something to gnaw on and something to drink, because you don't want to get dehydrated or be hungry in class, because it's really distracting and it's going to keep you from focusing on what you need to focus on. Okay. A lot of campuses these days have, mainstream restaurants, Subways, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell. They have a little bit of everything. And some schools even have their own cafeterias, which honestly, some are good and some are bad. The one that I used back in Indiana at Indiana Purdue Fort Wayne was phenomenal, because the chefs were students in the culinary program across the street at Indiana Tech. So they had like barbecue rib Wednesday and Italian Friday, and it was wonderful, wonderful food, and it was cheap. So if you want a full-size meal, check out that cafeteria. Check out the student union. You never know what you can find there. And generally speaking, the cafeteria is going to be cheaper than going to a restaurant. So it's absolutely worth a visit. Use your library. Our students in recent years have become really over dependent on Google. Okay. Google's okay for some things. However, for your English classes, when you're writing papers, we're going to expect you to use scholarly resources, which means no websites. You're going to learn how to use the databases that the library offers. And that is going to help you tremendously in finding credible resources for your research papers. And it's not just English. In your first semester, you'll take freshman comp, or maybe your second semester, and that's something that you'll learn about. And a lot of times teachers will have librarians come into the classroom and show you how to use these things. Or if it's a teacher like me that I really love doing database research, I actually demonstrate it myself. Don't count on Google. Never use Wikipedia. Oh, evil, bad. Don't use Wikipedia. Okay. You need to make sure you're using library resources. All right. Also, make friends with the librarians. They are awesome people. They have amazing skills. If you can't find something, go to them. A lot of universities now have live librarian chat features. You take advantage of that stuff. They also have video tutorials on how to use the databases. Watch them. They're usually 5-10 minutes long. It doesn't take a lot of time, but it's incredibly valuable information, and it gives you some really good tips on how to use the databases. Okay. What else? Oh, yeah. Time management. Prioritize your studies. All right. You're at college to learn. You're not there to party. You're not there to get drunk. You're not there to hang out. You're there to study and get a degree. Now, if you are there on your parents' dime and they could care less whether you graduate or not, and you just want to have fun, knock yourself out. But if you're there on your parents' dime or even your own dime, do not waste your opportunity to get that degree. People are counting on you. Yeah, I know. Like, that's what you needed, more pressure, right? but you're also counting on yourself. You need to take this experience and soak it in. Learn as much as you possibly can, not just in the classroom. Learn from others around you. Learn from your professors. Sit down and have a coffee with your professor and just talk about stuff. They would love that. If they have the time, they love to get to know their students. But most of the time, office hours are spent with us just grading papers by ourselves because no one ever comes by. It's very sad. So, visit your professors. Get in touch with them. Stay in touch with them. Ask them questions. Not only is it going to help you do better in the course, but it's going to create a really good relationship because at some point during your college career, you're going to need a professor's recommendation. Okay, whether it's for an internship or a job, you're going to need a recommendation. So make sure that you cultivate some relationships with the professors. Most of us are fairly open, down to earth, good people. So don't be afraid of us. We are humans just like you, and we would love to get to know you. Okay. Financial aid. If you're on financial aid, please remember a few important things. You have to go to class. Professors are required to report students on financial aid who do not attend, and then you risk losing your financial aid and getting kicked out of school. So you have to attend class, and not just attend. You have to participate too. Okay, so if you're on financial aid, you really need to be focused on your studies. You need to go to class. Now, does that mean you should go to class if you've got a fever of 103 and you feel like you're going to die? Of course not. You email your professor, you tell them that you're sick, and they'll work with you. As long as you communicate with them, they are going to be willing to work with you. Okay, but you have to take that first step of communication. Don't expect your professors to chase you around. That's not our job. All right. If we had to chase around every student that didn't show up, we would never do anything else. Most professors, full-time and adjunct, have anywhere in the neighborhood of 100 to 150 students per semester. We can't chase you around. Okay. You have to get responsible. You have to take care of yourself. You have to be accountable for yourself, for your work. You got to take care of it. Time to grow up a little bit. Okay. You're responsible for making sure you get to class. You're responsible for turning your things in on time. You are responsible for managing your time properly so that you can get all your homework done and still get to class and even still have some free time. It does exist if you can prioritize and manage your time. And you may be thinking to yourself, but I work a job. Lots of students work jobs. It's a matter of prioritizing and managing your time. So let's say you have a class at 9 and a class at 11 on Mondays and Wednesdays, and you work 4 to 10 on Mondays and Wednesdays. What are you doing between 12 and 4? Okay. Clearly you're going to eat because that's lunchtime. But if you've got a quick math assignment that needs to get done, just get it done. If you've got 10 pages to read, read it. Use that time wisely. Now, if you don't have any homework, great. Take a nap. Believe me, you want to sleep whatever you can. And make sure that you're caught up on everything first. Okay. If you have a day off during the week, like let's say you have Tuesday, Thursday classes and you work Tuesday, Thursday evenings, and you have one class on Monday and then you have a long shift on Monday, but Wednesday you're off. Okay. Sleep in because that's incredibly important, trust me. And then for the rest of the day, go through your classes, see where you are on all your homework. It doesn't mean you have to spend the whole day. Take 20 freaking minutes, figure out where you are on everything, and then take care of what has to be taken care of first. Whatever's due first is what you do first. Okay. And then once that's done, how much time do you have to do the next one? Get it out of the way. It'll only take me an hour. What's next? And what's next? And what's next? Okay. It's just that simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. And there's no reason you can't do something like that. Now, are you going to have classes that might be back-to-back days, like you've got a Monday through Thursday class? Those things do exist. So that class is always going to be priority because you might have something due the very next day. So that should be always your priority. But if you just keep track of everything, I highly, highly, highly recommend a student planner. A lot of colleges give them out during orientation week. So if you get a free one, use it because it's really going to help you keep track of things and help you not forget things. When you get your student planner and you get the syllabi from all your courses, mark in your student planner where test dates are, due dates for big projects, um, you know, days that you're going to have off. Mark those too. Mark down when you have reading assignments due. I mean, literally fill that planner with all your due dates. And then that way you don't have to go back to each individual syllabus. You can just flip through your calendar. Make sure you carry it with you too, because teachers always have the right to change due dates. So you need to have the thing on you. And that way, if you're in class and a teacher does an extension or pulls back a due date, you can mark it in your planner. Boom, you got it. And then you know that you have to reorganize. Okay. So what about activities? Most colleges have dozens, if not hundreds, of clubs and social groups, recreational sports, you name it. Plus, if you're in a real college town, there's probably a sports team that you would like to go see, or maybe they have concerts a lot. Okay, these things are great. Having a social life is important, but it has to be balanced. You have to balance it with your school life. Okay, when you're an adult, we call that work-life balance. When you're an adult, when you're out of school, we call that work-life balance. Okay. And you need to practice that while you're in college so that once you get out and get a job and start working, that you understand how to prioritize things, how to put things in order, have a planner. I still use a planner. I would die without one because I have so much going on, and we all do. We have a lot going on in our lives. This society in America is very driven by doing. And so without a planner or a calendar or reminders, we forget stuff all the time. And you might be saying to yourself as a youngster, but I remember everything. That's not going to last forever. Eventually your brain is going to reach its critical mass and your brain's going to explode. Okay. So you really do need to be able to have those skills to plan properly, prioritize, and manage your time. Okay. And do have a social life. Now, if a club meets 3 or 4 times a week and you've got a full load, like 15 to 19 credit hours somewhere there, you don't want to join that club. That's going to take out too much time. But if you enjoy, let's say, reading fantasy novels, elves and kingdoms and that kind of thing, and there's a book club that meets once a week that's all they read, you could fit that in. Absolutely. And it not only gives you social time, it gives you time to relax and not focus on school. And you do need that because otherwise your brain is going to fry. All right. You do have to have a social life. You do need to sleep. You can't burn the candle at both ends. You may feel invincible at your age, but you're not. You're going to burn out. It's going to happen. I mean, because you are only human. Even though that you're very, very young and feel like you have all this energy and I can get away with only 3 hours of sleep. That's not going to be forever. Don't set your life up like that. Make sure you're getting some proper rest. Okay. All right. On-campus rules. Make sure that you are reading through the student handbook because you don't want to break a rule unintentionally because you didn't read that document. All right. Just read it once. Okay. Note anything that you find important. Things like the library closes at midnight. Okay, you kind of need to know that, especially if you're a night owl like me. I do my best work between like 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. But if I wanted to go to the library, I couldn't. So you need to make sure that you're reading that student handbook so that you know when the buildings close, when the restaurants close, where the bathrooms are, where the nearest vending machines are, who to call, how to call security in case you need a security escort to walk you to your dorm. You need all that information. You don't want to be in a situation and realize, I don't know what to do and I don't know who to call and what am I going to do? You don't want to end up in that situation. So make sure you read that student handbook. It's going to have a lot of really good information that you're going to need for surviving on campus. All right. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope that the advice I've given is very helpful. And I really wish all of you the best as you start your college careers. And parents, make sure you're still there for your kids, because at some point they're going to call and ask questions and they're going to need you. So everyone take care. Have a blessed day and good luck.